ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। ॐ श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः। योगेन चित्तस्य पदेन वाचां मलं शरीरस्य च वैद्यकेन योपाकरोत्तं प्रवरं मुनीनां पातञ्जलि प्राञ्जलिना नतोऽस्मि। हरि ओम. We have finished Samadhipada, the first of the four padas of Patanjali Yoga Sutra. The first, the most difficult to understand. The reason why it is difficult to understand is because it is meant for Uttam Adhikari. Right from the word go, the first sutra of Samadhipada, Atha Yoganusasanam, and then the second one, Yogaschitta Vritti Nirodha. Suddenly Patanjali Maharaj takes us to the loftier heights of higher realms of consciousness and the sadhana thereof. That is why it is very difficult to comprehend, understand and digest Samadhipada. And there is a reason for it. The reason is Samadhipada is meant for Uttam Adhikari. Now this Adhikari word must be understood in the right context in Shastra. In Adhyatma, you have to be Adhikari to do Shastra or Sadhana, both. If somebody says that, okay, from tomorrow onwards, I will start studying Upanishads, it won't happen. Why it won't happen? If you compare that with anybody watching a movie, anybody can get up and say, I will watch a movie. There is no adhikara required for that. As long as you have eyes, you have your indriyas with you, you are entitled to watch a movie. Unfortunately, Shastra or Adhyatma cannot be undertaken unless you are adhikari, authorized person. Now, what is this adhikar? How do you get it? And what are the different gradations of the adhikar? This is very critical and important for our understanding, because many times we ask a question to ourselves that I am doing so much of Vedanta study, I am doing so much of attendance of Gita camp and Jnana Yajna, etc., etc. But I do not know what I am doing. Am I progressing? Am I not progressing? Am I just attending it? There is always a doubt in the mind. We do it more or less as a compulsion of a particular day and a time. But the fact is, we do not find ourselves progressing at a speed that is expected. And then comes the question, why it is so? The answer to this why is there in this discussion of adhikar. Remember, a person will be interested in vishayas or the world for the sake of bhoga, to enjoy the world, and he will spend or waste his life in only enjoying different objects. And in so enjoying the world, sum total, when he tries to see, when he grows old, he realizes that life had been lots of thorns with few occasional roses. There is too much of dukkham intermittently sprinkled with sukham. Again, that sukham itself is a mental illusion. A son is born to me. This is a nature's physical act. But the person, the father feels, look, I have become a father, I'm so happy. He's trying to create happiness out of you. Subsequently, the same child becomes the cause of pain, suffering. But this kind of light and shadow game, sorrow and happiness game, we keep playing throughout the life. And one day we leave the body and become ready for the next birth to repeat the same game. People who have lived only for the sake of indriyas, to take upabhoga from the world, and in turn get lots of sufferings and few sprinkled happinesses, continue to be born upwards, downwards, or in the same yoni. The freedom that is there in the hand, if it is utilized to do a lot of parapida, I go down in the birth, again I go into the bhoga yoni. So even if I become a dog, my whole aim is to have a bone and somehow get it and keep chewing on it. If I'm a little better than that, I might be born again as a human being, but I shall continue to chase the woman, the wealth, the possession. This is how majority of us, we spend our life. Amongst these millions, very few feel that while I am enjoying the world, I must pay some attention to another person's happiness. This is the first change in the thought process of a human being, that I need not live for myself. I can make others live, and I will also live. Paraspara sahajivanam. This first thought is the first elevation of a man towards upward movement. Such an act that is done by forsaking self-interest and working for others is called punyam. Anything that is done to alleviate the troubles and sufferings of the others, where I do not consider my own interest, and sometimes even I shun my interest or I keep my interest aside to help others, this leads to what is called as punyam. And what is the benefit of punyam? The benefit of punyam is as a result or a corollary or a phalam of that particular punyam, I get placed in a conducive state in the subsequent births. What is a conducive state? The paristhiti. So, as a result of this punyam, I am rewarded with a state subsequently, maybe in the same birth or the next birth, into a company of people where I first time hear that there is something called God or Brahman. Tukaram Maharaj says, बहुत सुकृतांची जोडी म्हणुनी विठ्ठली आवडी. The liking for Vitthala comes only and only after doing punya karma of many births, because that is the first attempt to break the vicious cycle of birth and death. Once such thought of God comes into the mind, the person then tries to spend more and more time to know about what is this Brahman, what is this God, what are they talking about, who is this Gurudev, why did he go to the jungles? And the curiosity to know more about God comes into the mind. That such a person is called Jidnyasu. Once the curiosity comes into the mind, then the person starts hankering for knowing more. The person who has not had any inclination into knowing what this God is, what this Brahman is, what should I be doing, what is Shastra, what is Upanishad, is called as Nishiddha person or Pashu, bound person. The one who is only interested in Ahara, Nidra, Bhayamaithunam cha Samana evam Pashubhihi naranam Dharmo hitesham vishesho adhikaro Dharme nahinaha Pashubhihi naranam. Those who do not even think of God are Pashus. So only the person who, because of doing some punyam, starts thinking about Lord, starts thinking about Gurudev, starts thinking about Upanishada, such adhikari is called the first adhikari or mand adhikari. Mand adhikari means the lowest authorized person to study the Vedanta or whatever, or sadhana. Then when this Manda Adhikari increases its frequency of associating with Satsanga, what is Satsanga? Being in company of realized souls or the Shastras which talk about realized soul, or the people who give pravachanam on this Atma Tattvam, all these and their Shravana is called a Manda Adhikari's prime duty. Who will get interest in such things? Who are the people who will say that, okay, I have to study Upanishada. I want to study Upanishada. I want to study Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Who are these people who continue to harbor more and more punyams by their selfless act in the world around? So on one hand, you increase your punyam by doing selfless acts, which will in turn give you a sattva guna. The first arousal of sattva guna will create interest in you to listen to the shastras. Further arousal of sattva guna and further working for others will make you fit to go more and more into the depths of the shastras or the yoga sutras or the upanishads. Once such a mand adhikari has completed his continuous working for others and simultaneously taking interest into the Adhyatma Shastra, then slowly his chitta starts becoming Shuddha. Such a chitta Shuddha person has higher Sattva Guna, and then now this Sattva Guna propels him to act very seriously about what he has studied, not casually like what we do. Once in a blue moon, once in the morning, that too because of age, that too because of people, what they will say, that too because I have already told everybody that I will attend Gita class, not that way. By virtue of internal propulsive force, which comes because of Sattva Guna, such a person then, because he has become more or less more and more Chitta Shuddha, he internally gets the volition to do something serious in terms of sadhana, and such a adhikari whose chitta has become Shuddha, now he wants to increase the Sattva Guna further, for which he undertakes severe austerities. Such person is called Madhyama Adhikari. This Madhyama Adhikari, when further gets into these practices of tapas, sadhana, then he develops enormous amount of vairagya. Because of his abhyasa, the vairagya is developed to a great extent. Now in the external world, he doesn't do anything for himself. If at all he does something, he does only for others, with such purity and pristine clarity of chitta, with sattva guna in ascendance. Such a adhikari many a times dies and gets into the new body. Remember, this Manda Adhikari, one is Nishiddha Pashu Hina person, becomes Manda Adhikari, then becomes Madhyama Adhikari, and all these are not happening in 1 month or 10 years, sir. It happens in many births. So you may be a Pashu-like creature for many, many births. With one grace somewhere, you become little human and become Manda Adhikari. You spend some births as Manda Adhikari, then you become Madhyam Adhikari. And then the one who has become Madhyam Adhikari and has done austerities and tapas to a good extent gets reborn. And when he's reborn, he is already on his way to the last bastion called Uttama Adhikari. Now, what is Uttama Adhikari? He, by birth, has inclination for sadhana. He has no interest into the outer world because that is already sublimated in the past births. And this Uttama Adhikari then directly starts with his last part of the sadhana, which is for attainment of samadhi. That is why the entire first samadhi path that we saw is meant for Uttama Adhikari. All the discussion about sampradnyat, samadhi, samahita chittam, ekagrata, vritti nirodha, satsa vitarka, savichara, sananda, asmita, anugata, sampradnyat, nirbija, dharma mega, all that plethora of things is meant for or reserved for Uttama Adhikari. No student from first standard can claim PhD because he is yet to cross the bastion of the primary school, the secondary school, the college, the post-graduation, and then the PhD. Similarly, Samadhipada is meant for Uttama Adhikari because he starts from that point, because the point is reached in previous birth, he embarks. So when we look at such journey of such great people, we get amazed. When we see Gurudeva journey, we get amazed. Look, he was born as a Balakrishna Menon. He was like an ordinary boy in his childhood, made good amount of fun and enjoyment during his college days. Sir, we don't understand that that is just a deceptive thing, because the mind was already tuned for the higher thing in the previous birth. So all of a sudden they just get some incidences happen which are the tatkalika karana. He happened to be in Delhi, Lucknow, Delhi. Then he was writing for a newspaper. Then he felt like taking interview and exposing the bogus sadhus. So he went to Shivananda Maharaj. All these are deceptive, superficial things. The thing is, he was already prepared for the Uttama Adhikari he was. He was already ready to take the flights to the higher realms of consciousness. That is why he went there, and we all know what happened. And whatever happened, happened in a period of just 2 to 4 years after reaching there. All that for which umpteen numbers of births are required, Gurudeva appeared to have achieved in a period of 2 to 4 years. It gives us pleasure when we read that Ramakrishna Paramahamsa gave Nirvikalpa Samadhi to Swami Vivekananda by touching the toe. It sounds nice while reading, but sir, Swami Vivekananda was a prepared mind, prepared previously by umpteen number of births, ready to sprout. That is why Samadhipada, the first pada of the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, is meant for Uttama Adhikari. Now, a normal, ordinary student, after listening to the scholastic students and the most brilliant PhDs and doctorates, asks a very simple question. All right, sir, Gurudeva's is done. Swami Vivekananda's is done. Shivananda Maharaj is done. Tapovan Maharaj is done. What about me? That's a very relevant question in Adhyatma. Where do I stand? What adhikari I am? So that means the Samadhipada was meant for the people whose mind was not chanchala. Achanchala antakkarana or achanchala chitta is the sign of Uttama Adhikari. Then what about the chanchala chitta? Chanchala chitta is called Vitthana chitta. Chanchala chitta, the one whose mind is wavery, is tossing from one thing to another thing. Remember again one thing, that the mind and its tossings is of two types. Not able to concentrate on any one subject or object because of tossing of mind can be divided into two in terms of the quantum of tossing. People like us, every second the mind is flitting from one to other, other to other. So ours is a fleeting mind, while the mind, when it is trained, a completely trained mind is a concentrated mind. So between, on one end of the spectrum, a purna samahita chitta, completely concentrated mind. On the other end of the spectrum is the completely scattered mind. And in the middle of the spectrum, there is a mind which is still not concentrated. However, it is not completely scattered also. This type of mind which has a chanchalta, but not to the extent of a scattered mind, such a person is the person who is called Madhyama Adhikari. What is a Madhyama Adhikari? His mind is not as bad as us, the Manda Adhikaris, constantly fleeting. At the same time, it is not as good as Uttama Adhikari, the concentrated Samahita Chitta, something in between. So what is to be done for the Madhyama Adhikari? What Madhyama Adhikari should do? What Kanishta or Manda Adhikari should do? That is the subject of second pada called Sadhana Pada. Sadhana Pada is meant for those who are not Sattva Shuddhi hasn't happened with them in the past births. So they are taking this birth as a period of sadhana. And what sadhana will they do? The Madhyama Adhikari and the Manda Adhikari is the subject of second pada called Sadhana Pada. Uttama Adhikari need not read this at all because he has already done this. That is why in the Samadhi Pada, Patanjali Maharaj only talks about the mind that is concentrated and moving upwards. So it is entirely a treatise meant for PhD students. Now comes the question, what about those who are in college? Madhya Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari. And what about those who are in the primary school? Like the person who is speaking, Manda Adhikari, that is also included in Sadhana Padam. So now this is more coming to our level. So understanding will be easier here. But remember one thing, this is the manual of instruction of Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Sadhana Pada is manual of instruction for the sadhakas. So we have to concentrate properly to learn that, because we are going to get direct solution to what we should be doing. First, decide your adhikar. Second, act accordingly. Now you know a person who goes to the school, he may be studying in the school, but he is aware that there is a college thereafter and there is a doctorate thereafter. Similarly, although we are Manda Adhikaris, the whole cartography, the map should be laid open in front of us. That is why we now know that there is a schooling called Manda Adhikari, there is a college called Madhyama Adhikari, there is a postgraduate, there is a PhD that is called Uttama Adhikari, and then the education is over. Similarly, for Manda and Madhyama Adhikari only, Sadhana Pada is there. So that is the aim of Sadhana Pada. So the one who does not have Chanchal Chitta, a Chanchala Chitta, or a Samahita Chitta, or concentrated mind, please go back to Sadhana Pada, Samadhi Pada. No, I have Chanchala Chitta, Vitthita Chitta, or Vitthita Chitta, or tossing mind, please come to the Sadhana Pada. With these words, we can begin with Sadhana Pada, and the very first sutra of Sadhana Pada, which is meant for Madhyama Adhikari. And that sutra is Tapa Swadhyaya Ishwara Pranidhanani Kriya Yoga. So the first sutra defines Kriya Yoga. The word used is Kriya Yoga. Why this is called Kriya Yoga and not Yoga? The second sutra in the Samadhi Pada is Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. There is no word Kriya Yoga because it is not Kriya of the kind that we expect. While here, you have to do something. Kriya is expressly involved. There it is the mind which is doing. Samadhipad is entirely on Samahita Chitta, or the concentrated mind and its journey. So Samadhipad is the story of concentrated mind, how it moves further into the higher realms of consciousness. While in Sadhana Pada, the first sutra talks about Kriya Yoga. And what are the Kriyas that you do? Tapas, Tapa, Swadhyaya, Ishvara Pranidhana. Why do you do this? What is the need for this? The need for this is a tapasvi cannot be a yogi. And you want to become a yogi. So the one who wants to become a yogi, because unless you become a yogi, that means unless you attain yoga, you cannot move forward, because yogaschitta vritti nirodha. So in order to become a yogi, you must undertake tapaswadhyaya and Ishwara Pranidhan, these three things, for two reasons. One, first you have to retire anadi, karma and klesha. See, the purpose of tapas, swadhyaya and Ishwara Pranidhana. We've been using these words very casually. Ishwara, tapas, swadhyaya. Swadhyaya is study, without bothering what study. It's now important to know this. Anadi karma and klesha has to be first taken out. If you do not take out anadi karma and klesha, you cannot go further in samadhi path. Anadi karma means the karma that we are in. What are we doing every day? Right now we are studying karma yoga in Bhagavad Gita. It is very clearly stated. Nahi kinchit jatam tishtat. You cannot stay even a millisecond without a karma. You will, something or the other you will keep doing. When did this karma start? Way back. When way back? We don't know how long back. Why? Because avidya is anadi. And avidya is the mother of karma. So karma has started at a point of time which we do not know, because it is anadi. And it is just unfolding. Karma phalam, karma phalam, karma phalam, karma phalam, starting from the mother avidya. This cycle is viciously going on. Unless we break this cycle, and consequently this cycle of karma and phalam leads to a result called klesha, trouble. Klesha. We are going to study the klesha in detail. But the klesha or the trouble. So what is the simpler definition of our life? Simpler definition of our life is karma, karma phalam, and klesham. That's all. Whether he is Bill Gates, whether he is Rockefeller, whether he is a beggar, whether he is a lady, a old lady, a young boy, a new boy, a newly born, whatever it is, karma, phalam, klesham. This, unless broken, no movement is possible to yoga. So if one has to be a yogi, he has to do something to break the vicious cycle of karma klesha, karma phala klesha. Second, simultaneously when we do this, there is also Vishaya Jala Karini Rajas Tamasta. What is it, such a big word? The jargon, what it means is Vishaya Jala Karini. The outside things are tempting for the indriyas. which is essentially because of Rajoguna and Tamoguna. So unless we reduce this Rajoguna, Tamoguna, which itself means unless we reduce our interest into the surrounding objects and their temptations, that means unless we develop Vairagya. So simultaneous development of Vairagya, and while developing Vairagya, breaking the cycle of karma, phala and klesha, to do both these, we require an exercise which is called Shuddhikaranam. And this Shuddhikaranam of the Chitta is attempted by Kriya Yoga, which in turn is comprising of Tapasya, that is Tapa, Swadhyaya, Ishvara Pranidhana. Now let us see what tapas is. A word million times we heard. Patanjali Maharaj's beauty is everything is precisely and specifically defined to know what exactly tapas is. Tapas is a state of chitta prasannata which is not disturbed by chitta badha. That is called tapasya. What is the meaning of this? Normally, the moment we say tapas, we immediately realize that there is a Rishi sitting in the jungle or Himalayas, closed his eyes, and millions of years have passed and he's still in that state. What is he doing? Tapas. No, sir. It is a very, very restricted meaning of tapasya. Tapas means my antakarana is supposed to be always prasanna. Prasanna means what? Not disturbed by anything. Undisturbed antakaran is prasanna chitta. Why? Because antakaran by its very nature is prasanna. Only because we disturbed it, it becomes aprasanna. Let us take a very concrete example. We switch on the TV or take the newspaper and read in the newspaper that coronavirus is increasing in number. What happened after reading this particular news piece? Suddenly inside the head, there is a thought that comes, a thin thread of thought. What is going to happen? I don't know. Again, it is increasing. Again, there will be a surge. Again, second wave, third wave, fourth wave. The mind went there. All what happened because of that? It disturbed the tranquility of the mind. And whatever disturbs the tranquility of mind is called badha, chitta badha. Now, because there is a chitta badha, what you lost? You lost the tranquility of antakarna. That is why you are in a disturbed state. And then, not only that, we also say it in words. Subah se kya pad raha hu, what all news I am reading, it is so disturbing. It is so disturbing. Disturbing because chitta badha is letting in. So what is the solution? Does the solution mean that you should not get disturbed, just sit like a log of stone? No. Do you mean to say that Gurudeva did not read the newspaper? No. Do you mean to say that emergency was declared, that he was happy, he was unhappy, he didn't read? He read. Then where is the difference? The difference is what happens when you see a child crying because his toy has been taken away. As an adult, you look at the child and say that, oh, he's a child. He's crying because his toy has been taken away, but there's no point in crying because the toy doesn't have any meaning in the adult life. So in a graduated life, everything else becomes trifle. We understand the precise nature of the things, and because of which our reaction to those things becomes sensible reaction, not nonsensical reaction. And that is the reason why anything that is happening around us, if you are able to see it in a manner whereby the first question is asked, is it disturbing my mind? Then Either I should not get into the thing that will disturb my mind, or if it is something essential like a shouting from your own child, which you can't avoid, then can I stop it before it comes and puts that stone onto the tranquil lake of my mind? Will that happen overnight? No. Can I get that skill right away? No. How can I get that skill? By understanding the nature in a profound manner, I can prepare my mind and I can keep practicing this again and again, so that my tranquility of antakarana or the chitta prasannata is not disturbed. Any attempt to do this, any workout done for this, any exercise done for this is tapas. We are going to see further also why it is not right to run away from the things and sit into a in a corner place and say that, look, I am not disturbed. This is not the way the chitta prasannata is obtained and maintained. Chitta prasannata is maintained by facing the tornado head on, keeping the chitta steady and stable, not letting the tranquility be disturbed by any of the outside influences. That is tapas. What is swadhyaya? On one hand, you are alert about the external factors disturbing the mental equipoise or the tranquility. Simultaneously, you are using the inner equipoise of the mind or the tranquility for drudhikarana. And this drudhikarana is done by swadhyaya. The definition, the Vakhya of Swadhyaya given by Patanjali Maharaj is very precise. Pranavadi pavitranam japaha tatha moksha shastra adhyayana iti swadhyayaha. This is of course a part of Bhashyam, not Patanjali Maharaj Sutra. Pranavadi pavitranam japaha. That means to do japa, to recite the name of the Lord in the form of mantra, the highest of which is pranava or omkara, but not only omkara, pranava adi, that means other mantras also. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. This can be a mantra, this is a mantra, which when repeated, what is japa? Again, there is a vakhya. Shraddha yukta anekashaha ucharana iti japaha. It should be with full faith. Not only the vaikhari, not only the mouth saying Ram, 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 it will be a waste. The Ram has to be there in the heart all the time, in the mental frame. The Lord has to be there in the form of Gurudeva, Vivekananda, Rama, Ramakrishna Paramahansa, Sri Krishna, Vasudeva, Narayana, Shaligrama, Shiva, Parvati, whatever. And then the Ucharana, when it is done, it is called Japaha. And attending to Patanjali Yoga Shastra class is a Swadhyaya. Why? Because while listening to the Patanjali Yoga Shastra, the antakarana for the period of a small time called 1 hour in the morning of Tuesdays at 5:30 gets diverted from the external objects and gets concentrated on the thinking part, which itself is a swadhyaya. So moksha shastra adhyayana. And what is the moksha shastra? Anything that is related to Vedas is moksha shastra. All the darshanas are the parts of Vedas. We know they are Vedanga, there are Upavedas. So that is why any study of that is called Swadhyaya. Then there is Ishvara Pranidhana. What is Ishvara Pranidhana? Again, the Vakhya, the definition, Sarva Kriyanam Parama Guru Arpanam Tat Phala Sannyaso Va. What is the meaning? Very simple meaning. Entire karma yoga is in this Ishwar Pranidhana. To dedicate all karmas to Paramaguru Ishwara. Remember, there is a Guru, there is a Sadguru, and there is a Paramaguru. Ishwara is the Paramaguru of all. We have seen in Sadhana Pada what is the importance of Ishwara. So Ishwara is the Paramaguru. To dedicate all Kriya or the Karma, Sarva Kriyanam Paramaguru Arpanam. And Tat Phala Sanyaso, abandonment of Phala of that karma is called Ishwara Pranidhana. See, three things simultaneously Madhyama Adhikari has to do. Then it is called Kriya Yoga. What is the first thing he does? He does not let any of the external things come and disturb the tranquility of his mind. That is called tapas. So when you say, "Main tapasya kar raha hu," I am doing tapas, don't expect you to be in the jungle. Right where you are sitting, in your office, in your home, you shall continue to do tapas. And what is the tapas? Wife said something, I became angry, tapas is gone. Why? The external object came and disturbed the tranquility of your mind. Then what do? Stop it at the outer wall. Let it not come. When can you stop it at the outer wall? When you're alert about what is happening. So always be alert. Alert about what? We are always alert about what? About getting more wealth. No. Be alert about, is anything disturbing my peace, my tranquility? Yes. What is disturbing my tranquility? I have become group member of 10 WhatsApp groups. Delete. No disturbance. What is going to disturb me? Yeah, or every weekend we go out and then we make a fun, but then what happens is I reach late, he reaches early, then he fights with him, he says, I brought this, you didn't bring this. Stop. Don't indulge. Indulgence is again adding few more challenges. Already you have enough of the fire to quell. Why do you want to add fuel to it? Don't do it. Reduce your wants to minimum. Reduce your contacts to minimum. Keep yourself away from disturbances. So first of all, if at all you have to deal with your disturbances coming towards the mind, they are anyway in millions, but at least you need not add to it. The first step is not to add new things to that. And what do you mean by that? Reduce unnecessary friends and relations. चाचा की मामी की बेटी की लड़की की शादी does not make any sense in Shastra. Be humble, do namaskaram, avoid undue gatherings, undue contacts, undue friends, undue social media, undue entertainment. Why? You will feel there are less challenges to handle. And then your own domestic challenges are more than enough for you. The wife, the kids, their problems, the money, the purchase. Anyway, we have increased it. Keep doing aparigraha, reducing the liabilities. These are all liabilities, not in terms of possessions, in terms of relations also. Once we do that, tranquility can be maintained. And then after the filtration is applied, if anything comes still further beyond that and tries to hit my tranquility, I shall alertly keep it away from my tranquility. If the angry word comes to me but gets bounced back from my ears and does not go inside my head, it will not disturb me. That is tapasya. Swadhyaya. Spend time in reading Bhagavad Gita. No, sir, it is not for reading purpose. If you are not doing mananam after reading, please do not read. It is of no use. How much should I read? I have to read 144 shlokas at least in a day. Don't do that. It is not parading of shlokas that is required. Even one word is enough. Sometimes don't read. Just recollect and reflect. Mananam. Think. how Swamiji must have done it. How great was Swami Vivekananda? What must be his? And only saying great, great and clapping will not help. Think in terms of what can and how can it help me? That is Moksha Shastra Adhyanam. And Ishwar Pranidhana, the third, should simultaneously be practiced. And that is whatever is happening, think of it as Lord's hand. Somebody insulted me. Think of it as the result of phalam of I insulting somebody in the past birth. I'm not remembering it, but that's not my fault. That's because I have limitation of buddhi. But I know the reason for sure because of the Shastra that if I'm insulted, it is because I have insulted somebody. So take it there and leave it. While doing the work, what will happen when I will grow old? Who will look after me? I hope I would like to retire in India. At least, at least our own people are there to look after in case something goes wrong. How stupid we are. On one hand, we say, I believe in Lord. And on the other hand, we try to create our the party of relatives to look after me in my old age. These are all defunct thinkings. Leave them aside. Yogi Aurobindo has beautifully said that the first step in thinking is to see the thought or to think about the thinking. And what is to think about the thinking? Look at the thought and ask a question. Am I thinking about something which has already happened? Then stop it. Am I thinking something about which is yet to happen? Stop it. And then think. See what a simple, beautiful solution we have. Once we have this, then the chitta prasannata will always be maintained. I am eating. Why should I remember what I ate 10 years back while eating? I am eating. Why should I think that whether I'll be eating tomorrow or not? You are eating, so in grammar also it is called present tense. So be in present. And when you are eating, that time also, I am eating. No, Lord made me eat this. And this what I have eaten is for Lord, by Lord. Once this thought comes into the mind, then Ishwara Pranidhana is simultaneously achieved. So, Tapas Swadhyaya Ishwara Pranidhana, this is the work allotted for Madhyama Adhikari. Madhyama Adhikari means the one who has already done Yama, Niyama, etc. I know we are not into this yet because we are Manda Adhikari. But 5 Yamas, 5 Niyamas, Asana, Pranayama, and Pratyahara. Out of the Ashtanga Yoga, the 5 Angas, we are going to see Ashtanga Yoga in detail for sure. But out of Ashtanga Yoga, 8 different Angas or 8 parts of Ashtanga Yoga, the Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi is common to all the Adhikaris. So the last 3 Angas, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi, are common to all the Adhikaris, the Uttam, the Madhyam, and the Manda Adhikari. But for the Manda or the Adhama Adhikari, 5 Yamas, 5 Niyamas. So Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahar. These 5 are meant for the beginner, the Manda Adhikari. The one who has done this 5 will be successful in doing the Kriya Yoga, because after this 5 you become Madhyama Adhikari. And Madhyama Adhikari is supposed to do Kriya Yoga, which is Tapas, Swadhyaya, Ishwara Pranidhana. What will happen as a result of these 3 for the Madhyama Adhikari? His Chittam will become more and more Shuddham. Shuddham means what? Sattva Shuddhi. Once then these three are achieved with a proper tandem in life, then the sattva guna is so high that now he is ready to take the flight that is described in Samadhipada. So, Manda Adhikari, Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahar, 5, Adhama or Manda Adhikari. After practicing that, Madhyama Adhikari. Madhyama Adhikari, Kriya Yoga. Kriya Yoga comprising of Tapas, Swadhyaya, Ishvara Pranidhana. After these three are mastered, the Madhyama Adhikari will be graduating to Uttama Adhikari. Uttama Adhikari is now, what will he do? He will directly enter into Samadhipada and start into those. The first being Savitarka Sampradnyat, then Nirvitarka Sampradnyat, then Anandanugata Sampradnyat, Savichara Sampradnyat, then Nirvichara Sampradnyat, then Anandanugata Sampradnyat, then Asmitanugata Sampradnyat, then Nirbija Samadhi or Asampradnyat Samadhi or Dharma Megha Samadhi. After that, Purusha Khyati, and it is done. This is the hierarchy of Yoga Shastra as designed, visualized, practiced, and experienced by all the yogis as well as the pioneer yogi Patanjali Maharaj. So this is how the first sutra talks about the Kriya Yoga meant for Madhyama Adhikari, comprising of Tapas, Swadhyaya and Ishwar Pranidhana. Ishwar Pranidhana is Sarva Kriyanam Paramaguroho Arpanam. Paramaguru means Ishwara. Sarva Kriya Ishwar Arpanam is Ishwar Pranidhana. In commonest language, in Bhakti Shastra, this is called Prapatti or Sharanagati. As Kurma Purana states, Naham Karta Sarvam Etat Brahmaeva Kurute Tatha Etat Brahmarpanam Proktam Rushibhi Tattvadarshibhi. Naham Karta Sarvam. I am not the doer. Brahmaeva Kurute. Only the Brahma does everything, the Lord does everything. Etat Brahmarpanam. I have given it back to the Lord because it is He who is doing it. This thought, one who has in the mind and does the work, is called Rushibhihi Tattvadarshibhihi. The one who has seen the truth behaves like this. And what about Tatfala Sanyasam? Yad va Falanam Sanyasam Prakuryat Parmeshware Karmanam Etat Api Aho Brahmarpanam Anuttamam. The one Karmanam Phalanam Sanyasam Prakuryat Parmeshware. The one who gives the phalam of the karma also to the Parmeshwara is called Tatfala Sanyasa. So phalam to the Lord and karya itself is being done by the Lord. Both when it is practiced by the Madhyama Adhikari, it is called Ishwara Pranidhana. Once this is done, then we are ready to know that why this Kriya Yoga is done, what happens after Kriya Yoga, and how Kriya Yogi is able to do complete dissolution of klesha or the trouble. Why, how he becomes dukkha rahita, klesha rahita. What are those different 5 types of kleshas that we are suffering from? Those details will be coming in the subsequent sessions. The gist of today is to know that there are 3 different types of adhikaris. The Uttama Adhikari has been dealt with and his work has been dealt with. His sadhana has been dealt with in Samadhi because he is a Chanchala Avastha yogi. For the Chanchala Avastha, if it is a Madhyama Adhikari, then he will do Kriya Yoga. And for the Adhama Adhikari, the first 5 of the Ashtangas are the mandatory things for him. So what is happening is Patanjali Maharaj has taken us from syllabus of PhD, then he's coming to the college, then he's going to come to the school. Our normal way of learning is we learn something from the school, and this is because Atha Yoga Anushasanam. Patanjali Maharaj says, my Grantha is meant for those who have come up to a level. So he has started from the topmost and then he's going down. So for us, what is there is now slowly coming into the visual field. Now we are coming slowly towards what we should be doing. But there is definitely no harm in knowing the entire cartography, how the whole process is going to move forward. And that is the reason why Kriya Yoga is something that is emphasized by for most of the yogis. Hari Om. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Hari Om Sanjay ji, waiting for Mudit ji if he has any clarifications.
Yeah, Sanjay ji, now, I've been inducted into this Kriya Yoga tradition, and there, even though we say, this is for, let's say, Madhyam Adhikari, now the basics of all tapas, which is, the first five, right, which is Yam, Niyam, all that is to be done as a preparation to reach this, or it is considered part of this itself?
It is a preparatory phase to reach this stage. The reason being, if you want to practice austerity or tapas, unless you have balam to do tapas, you cannot do it. Let us take an example. Are you able to restrict your diet even though the health people are talking from rooftops that you should not be eating something that increases your cholesterol? You should not be eating something that will spoil your kidneys or your heart. Are we listening? Why it is difficult for us to stop not eating this? This is not good for me, because we are not able to even follow the simplest niyama of the normal transactory world. And here we are talking about the higher state of mind. So that is why unless we practice yama niyama, asana pratyahar, and that is the reason why asana is included into it. The physical well-being has a lot of importance, not because being physically fit you will achieve yoga, but not being physically fit, of course, will be an obstacle for yoga. That is why pranayama, pratyahar, asanam, yama, and niyama, these when they are practiced, then tapas becomes a good quality tapas. Otherwise, it becomes an utter failure n number of times. For example, tomorrow morning, if I decide, or today morning, that I will do a tapas, I shall not let anybody disturb the tranquility of my mind. Within no time, sir, I'll be disturbed. And then I will think that, oh, I'm trying so hard, but it is not coming. Why it is not coming is because you're not trained for it. So it is like this. The one who has a good wrist can only handle a sword. So supposing a weak wrist has taken a sword in the hand, it will never be powerfully employed. So strengthening the wrist is first, then holding the sword. Similarly, doing the manda adhikari kartavyam is the first, then followed by the madhyama adhikari kartavyam. Unfortunately, and there is nothing wrong in it, out of sheer enthusiasm, let us put it that way, there are many places where people try to jump to the higher stages. Is it not that we have heard so many people saying that I sit in meditation? after reading Patanjali Yoga Sutra's meditation, that what we have studied in Samadhi Pada, do you think that we are qualified for meditation? No, but I'm trying. You will keep trying only. The success will not come. It is like nobody stops a first standard student then forcibly going into 10th standard exam and giving the paper. What will be the result, sir? He will fail. So similarly, stages, why they are defined is because one is linked with the other. You first do the punyam, so you start thinking about the Lord, so you start behaving further better. Since you behave better and better, Sattva Guna Uday is there. Sattva Guna Uday tends you to go towards the Adhyatma. Then you open the book, then you start thinking about it. Then that Chintanam leads to Yamaniyama. Then Yamaniyama leads to further Tapaswadhyaya. Tapaswadhyaya then further leads to Samadhipada. This is how the process is. It is a process of involution of consciousness or evolution of sadhaka. Hari Om.
Yes, sir. The reason I asked was, I completely agree. The thing is that in the Ashtanga Yoga, they don't mention, why don't they mention these 3 steps? Tapas, 8 steps, typically, like you mentioned, after the first 5 come dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. They don't mention specifically these 3, which is tapas. Is there any reason for that?
Yes, the reason is that first is that Patanjali is a sutra grantha. And that is the reason why if anybody starts deciphering the sutras, they'll be grossly mistaken. That is the reason why what would this sutra mean? For example, tapaswadhyaya ishwar pranidhana. These are the only words used by Patanjali Maharaj. Now the question is, tapaswadhyaya, what is the meaning of it? How it is related? How to connect this with something? That is where we require bhashyam. And bhashyam, there are millions of bhashyam. Which one should I take? Then there is standardization. As we normally follow Shankaracharya in Advaita Vedanta, his bhashyam on Gita. That is the main sutra. And then main sutra bhashyam, main bhashyam. So that is why on that bhashyam again, if you want to take tika, then which tika to be taken? So that is the reason, as I had mentioned in the beginning itself, Vachaspati Mishra, Bhoja's Rajamartanda Vritti, and Vijnana Bhikshu, these 3 were realized souls by themselves. So we are taking these 3 together, and mind well, on certain sutras, 3 of them have differed also. So even there also we are trying to see what is a collective view of them. And that is how we are trying to understand what is there in the mind of Patanjali Maharaj when he wrote this sutra. So there is something called Adhyavruta Jnanam. Something, it is presupposed by Patanjali Maharaj. So even if it is not there in so many words, we have to dig it out. That is why, as we, of course, we are going to see this particular things that you mentioned in detail when we go towards the Ashtanga Yoga. Ashtanga is yet to start. We have just started with Kriya Yoga. But in this Sadhana Pada, we are going to see each and everything in detail. Some of the hints or some of things will be specifically mentioned by Patanjali Maharaj. Elaboration, precise meaning, we have to depend on the Bhashyakaras. And that is why I do have 2 books with me, which I have stopped reading before the sessions because they have digressed from the real Bhashyam. Mind well, both are written by very, very intelligent soul, but not the realized soul. And I found the dichotomy so strong between what they have said and what these bhashyams are, I had to close them. But suppose if it comes to Vivekananda, you can definitely follow. Why? By experience and knowledge, both he has written it. Unfortunately, Vivekananda's commentary also on Raja Yoga, in the Raja Yoga about Patanjali Yoga Sutra, is very, very packed with meaning and limited. There are many aspects to Vivekananda. Maybe in the speech he must have mentioned it, but in the book that we have at our hand, it does not mention. So there again, many questions remain unanswered. That is how we come back to the Bhashyam, take the gist out of it, and only by that Adhara I am speaking, not one single word or alphabet I am pronouncing which is from my own mind. I dare not do that. I do not have the capacity. I dare not do that because that will be a deviation. So it is pure bhashyam given by three stalwarts along with the sutras of Patanjali Maharaj. That is the reason many times specifically you may not find certain things mentioned. However, for Ashtanga Marga, we are going to study each Anga in detail, and then there will be some areas. I am deliberately avoiding philosophical controversies because it will be a very long subject. Mind well, we are trying to complete Patanjali Yoga Sutra in limited manner. It is a darshana, it requires years to complete, years to study. It is a Grantharaj. It is not, it is still we are trying. Even then we took 45 sessions for Samadhipada because we were still in a hurry. Frankly speaking, one sutra requires one month. There is so much of brainstorming that is needed. That is for the foundation of the sadhana. So that's why as we go forward, again, certain concepts will be further clear of Ashtanga Yoga. Hari Om.
Thank you, Sanjay, because it's I've tried attempting this sadhana path many times, but obviously all these gaps were there, so one struggled. So this your expositions and explanations have really helped. Just one, actually, it's not related to this text, but just a larger question. So long as one is in this world, we have seen, right? So in India, from 200 BC, we had Takshila and Nalanda and all the scholars and everything. Now, while this is a journey where we go towards the spiritual path, in the real world, there are difficulties, right? So for many centuries, this land has also been under invasion and, so while aspirations are there, or even in real life, right? So as you get onto the journey, before you reach the Samadhi path, while one makes this journey, there are some basics, before you reach a stage where you don't need to eat or drink or whatever, there is, you need to earn, you need to, at least prepare. All I'm saying is that my question really comes down to, is this, being purely spiritual, does it take away from dealing with the real world?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't, for a simple reason. You are bound to do the karma, and that is completely accepted by the Shastra. The karma that you are destined to do is coming from the very word that you are destined, it comes from the destiny. So if I have got a role to play, let us say I am a soldier and I am a very ardent spiritual person, would that mean that I will stop firing from my gun? No, I shall fire with full force now and with much better understanding, because now the hatya that I'll be doing is for an ecclesiastical purpose, the purpose which is so high and lofty that it is a part of my duty. Now here the question is, the kartavyam that is done out of the duty that is bound upon me by the Lord for the sake of the Lord. And the poverty that we suffered that you talked about is not because of anything else, but because of the tamoguna that the Indians developed. You read Vivekananda's biography. He is talking harshly about the tamoguna of our people. He said, we need to be now rajoguni. There are no industries. There is no work output. Everybody is in poverty, reeling under that. There are superstitions. This is all tamoguna. And even in karma, or the nation or the community or the society, tamoguna is to be shunned. If societies, we have a hypothetical Ramarajya where everybody was having sattvaguna. What is sattvaguna? Everybody is working hard for others. Now imagine everybody is working for others, and that too very hard. That means everybody's work is done. So that is why that is a sattvaguna or treta yuga, whatever you call it. So at the end of it, there is apparently, we always feel there is a contradiction between daily life and spiritual life. It is not so. The daily life can be made spiritual, and the spiritual life can be made daily life. There has to be harmony between the two, and the harmony is possible by conviction. Our problem is we do not have conviction. We change according to circumstances. We lie in the outer world and then say that, that is how you have to behave in the world. We create our own rules. We have a burning example of Mahatma Gandhi. Even being in politics and the pinnacle of political activity, he did not leave truth. And yet he was an expert politician. How can you be a politician and not lying? It can be done provided one understand correctly, because Gandhiji, whatever he did, he knew he is not doing anything. Lord is working through him. He did not leave truth even while dying. And then with these two convictions in the mind, everything required he did. Lord Krishna, his life is a burning example of how to live in the world. Do you mean to say that he had less problem than us? He had problem right from his birth. Who is born in the jail? Vasudeva was born in the jail. Whose mama comes to kill you? Our mama never came to kill us, but his mama came to kill him. Yet, what we see from him is that karma can be done. Yoga karmasu kaushalyam. That is why yoga and karma are brought together in this manner. Karma itself is yoga. There is no dichotomy between the two. The reason when we say that please leave this, please don't get into this world, is because unwanted creation is to be avoided. A soldier cannot avoid a war, but a soldier can definitely avoid indulging in alcohol. That is the difference. So, in fact, a person who is a yogi, he puts himself full blast into this world. What about Gurudeva? Did he say that mine is done, I will not come back to the world? He said, no, with full force I will come. And he did come. He did all the work. There was everything that he did. He had the same problems as us. Who will listen to me? Who will feed me? I'm a brahmachari. Who will look after me in my old age? Is it not that he should have all the same problems like us? We think about it. He doesn't think about it because he knows what exactly the situation is. So there is no contradiction between day-to-day life and what we are studying. In fact, a day-to-day life will be strengthened if this is properly understood. Hari Om.